The rain came down hard that night, soaking the empty road and blurring the streetlights into long, trembling streaks of gold. Mark Harris wasn't supposed to be there. He had taken a wrong turn after working a late shift, his mind heavy with bills, groceries, and the promise he'd made to his daughter to be home before midnight. Then he saw something that made his heart stop: a police cruiser half off the road, lights dead, and a woman lying motionless beside it. Mark pulled over without thinking. He didn't know yet that this single choice, this moment of kindness, would change not just one life, but an entire police force forever. Before the story continues, take a moment to support the channel. If stories about kindness, courage, and everyday heroes touch your heart, please subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. You're watching stories of pure kindness, where one small act can change everything. Mark Harris was a 38-year-old single dad living in a quiet town in Ohio. Life hadn't been easy since his wife passed away 5 years earlier. Every morning, he packed lunches, braided his daughter Lily's hair the best he could, and worked long hours as a warehouse supervisor just to keep things steady. He wasn't rich, he wasn't powerful, he was just a tired dad doing his best. That night, as rain soaked through his jacket, Mark ran toward the woman on the ground. She was a police officer, young, maybe early 30s. Her uniform was torn, her face pale, her breathing shallow and uneven. There was blood, too much of it. Mark's hands shook as he knelt beside her. "Ma'am," he said softly, afraid to scare her if she could still hear. "I'm here. You're not alone." Her eyes fluttered open for just a second. He saw fear there, and pain, but also something else: relief. Mark grabbed his phone and called 911, his voice cracking as he explained the location. He took off his jacket and pressed it against her wound, applying pressure the way he remembered from a first aid course years ago. He kept talking to her, telling her his name, telling her help was coming, begging her to stay awake. Her name, he learned, was Officer Emily Carter. Emily had responded to a call about a stranded vehicle. What she didn't know was that the call was a setup. The suspect attacked her, pushed her off the road, and fled, leaving her bleeding in the rain. By the time Mark found her, she had already lost a dangerous amount of blood. Minutes felt like hours. Mark never let go. He ignored the cold, the rain, the fear rising in his chest. All he could think about was Lily. If this were his daughter someday, he'd pray someone would stop. When sirens finally filled the air, Mark leaned back, exhausted. Paramedics rushed in, taking over. As they loaded Emily into the ambulance, she reached for his hand with surprising strength. "Thank you," she whispered. Mark nodded, unable to speak. He gave his statement to the police, declined praise, and quietly drove home. He tucked Lily into bed that night, kissed her forehead, and sat on the edge of her bed longer than usual. He didn't tell her what happened. He just held her hand until she fell asleep. At the hospital, doctors worked through the night. Emily survived, but barely. The damage was severe. She spent days in intensive care, drifting in and out of consciousness. When she finally woke fully, she asked only one question. Did they find the man who stopped? The police told her about Mark. About the jacket. About the way he never left her side. Word spread quickly through the department. The police force was shaken. Officers saw tragedy every day, but this was different. One of their own had nearly died. And it wasn't another officer who saved her, it was a civilian. A single dad who could have driven past, who could have said, "Someone else will help." But he didn't. When Emily was strong enough, she asked to meet Mark. The department arranged it quietly. Mark arrived at the hospital nervous, wearing his best shirt, hands tucked into his pockets like he didn't know what to do with them. Emily smiled when she saw him. Tears rolled down her cheeks before she could stop them. "You saved my life," she said. Mark shook his head. "I just did what anyone should do." Emily reached for his hand. Not everyone would. What Mark didn't know was that the department had been watching him too. They learned about Lily, about his long hours, about how he never asked for anything in return. A week later, Mark got a call asking him to come to the police station. He thought maybe it was about paperwork, maybe a follow-up. When he walked in, the entire force was standing in formation. Emily stood at the front, still weak but proud in her uniform. The chief stepped forward and spoke about bravery, about community, about kindness that expects nothing back. Then he turned to Mark. "You didn't just save an officer," the chief said. "You reminded us why we wear this badge." They awarded Mark a civilian medal of honor. But that wasn't what shocked everyone. Emily spoke next. She told them that during her recovery, she'd thought a lot about life. About how quickly everything could be taken away. And about the man who stayed with her when he didn't have to. "I wouldn't be here without him," she said. "And I don't want to just say thank you. I want to live it." Emily had learned that Lily's school struggled with funding. That Mark had been quietly skipping meals to make ends meet. That kindness, it turned out, had been flowing only one way. The police force started something new that day. A community support program, scholarships, emergency assistance for families like Mark's. Not just for him but inspired by him. Mark tried to refuse help. He really did. But Emily looked at him and said, "Let us do what you did for me. Let us care." That night, Mark went home and told Lily everything. She listened wide-eyed, then wrapped her arms around him. "I'm proud of you, Daddy," she said. Years passed. Emily returned to duty. Mark kept working, kept raising Lily, kept being the quiet man who stopped when it mattered. They stayed in touch. Sometimes they had dinner together. Sometimes they just checked in. And every year, at the police academy graduation, Emily told one story to the new recruits. Not about guns or tactics or fear. She told them about kindness. She told them about a single dad in the rain who reminded an entire police force and a whole town that heroes don't always wear badges. Sometimes, they just stop. As this story comes to an end, remember this: kindness doesn't need permission. It doesn't need applause. It just needs a moment and the courage to act. If this story touched your heart, take it with you today. Hold the door. Make the call. Stop when you can. Because you never know whose life you might change forever.